Hello folks, and welcome to another daily Bitcoin market analysis by Inspocrypto. Today in my initial comment, I'm not going to talk directly about crypto, but indirectly it has a context, of course, to crypto and to some wrong narratives circulating in the crypto space, mainly coming from some Bitcoin maxis. But however, let us talk about a little bit the banking sector and the banking crisis. Because it's going, sometimes I have other insights and information that others have. And maybe, of course, I'm not going to share any kind of secret data, informations, whatever, because, responsible also for my clients. But we can talk in general what I would expect. And I guess, once again, it will be different to many wild stories you will hear or read in the Twitter space, and maybe sometimes also newspapers. Let us talk about the banking crisis. Of course, politicians will always try to cooling down any kind of problems. We don't have a banking crisis. That's what they said. That's what they say, and that's what they are going to say until the banking crisis will melt down our faces. And that's going to happen. But, and now it's the big but, we need to separate Europe from the US, for example, because both have solid signs of an incoming banking crisis. I have talked about Deutsche Bank. We have talked in the last few weeks, we have talked about Credit Suisse, about, the equity by UBS. We have talked about a lot about Fed, for example, and so on and so forth. So why, and just to make it clear, my bias is extremely European. So I actually, it sounds maybe extremely bad for you, but I like when the citizens of a nation are nationalist. So I'm absolutely conservative, just to make it absolutely clear. So I like to have the best benefit for my citizens. And in that case, it's Germany. But also Europe in general. My roots, I have different roots also in Spain, for example. But not only there, also in South America. So for me, it's a key that even I would like to give every single person in this world the same opportunities, and to be, healthy, to have the wealth, and so on and so forth. We know it's not realistic. So I like when an American is just saying, hey, God bless the USA, because the only thing that he's saying is, I love my country, I just want to have the best and biggest benefit to all my citizens. And that's absolutely great. I mean, why not? Just that's one part that maybe some of you are a little bit surprised. To have the biggest benefit for your own country doesn't mean you need to go abroad and bomb other countries down and steal their resources, for example. Be careful, okay? So, just to make it clear, now we can start to discuss if we can have a big benefit for our own country without to bring pain to other countries. That's something we can talk when we see each other drinking a beer or a water, whatever, and discuss about that, because in my opinion, it is possible. However, Europe has a problem, a big problem with the banking sector since the last banking crisis we had in 2008. We remember. And, also there are politicians and so on. I would say they try to trigger a transformation and to minimize their risk. Of course, they failed. They failed because, the banking lobby is big in Europe, not only there, but they failed. And we had our old government, for example, and that was just, I remember when Mrs. Merkel just refused to help any Greek banks when Greece was, for example, in close to collapse, and she didn't care. But a lot of the money of these Greek banks were not German money, So obviously other countries had an interest to save them, but Mrs. Merkel said no. And Mrs. Merkel said no to other banks abroad, but to the own banks it was absolutely fine to help them. Just to send money to Greece and just like to have a boomerang effect, and the same money, almost 100%, went back to the wallets of the Deutsche Bank. Now we can talk about the Deutsche Bank. Who do you think are the owners of the Deutsche Bank? You remember my last Inspo's initial comment where I mentioned, hey, the Deutsche Bank is not in hands of big German capital. A big part of it was the US. But they unloaded already, or at least many of them. And so the Deutsche Bank is also not looking very strong anymore. However, what does that mean? And if Europe banking crisis starts to increase or, to escalate, what will happen with the US, for example, where everything a little bit started with Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and so on and so forth. But it's not the only one, because we know they have more problems. Now we are making a little jump because it's absolutely necessary. You need to understand that money is dynamic. So what we are doing with on-chain, just trying to identify any flows, streams, money flows, fund flows, and so on and so forth. The same we could do on global stage. And when Europeans think, the banking crisis in Europe doesn't look great, what do you think are these guys going to do? What do you think these guys do in such case? Do you think they say, but it is what it is because I'm European? Nope. That's not what they do. Actually, then they are looking around and checking what will be the next close currency where I would feel comfortable to shift my money in. Usually it's the US dollar. Now some would say, oh my god, these guys are morons. Well, they are not. And even I'm European, and even I'm nationalist, a patriot. That sounds really... the first thing you have in mind is far right and whatever, but that's stupid. That's really brainwashing from the past. That's not true. To love your own country doesn't mean you need to be bad to others. Okay, just to make it clear. I need to make it very clear because many people don't understand what it means. So, of course, I have a big interest to maintain the whole capital in Europe. But it's not going to happen. And the Fed did everything and organized everything that European money will flow directly to the US. I remember all the topics about Friedman, think tanks, and the US saying The worst case for us is to have Russia and Germany very close, because one, Russia has the and they have a lot of workers, a lot of people. They have a lot of natural resources. On the other side, the Germans have a lot of money and at the same time engineers and so on and so forth. So together it would be great for Germans, for Russians, but absolutely bad for the US if they want to maintain a global leadership. So what do you think did the Fed? Well, the Fed just created or founded what they call the Foreign and International Monetary Authorities Repo Facility. The shortcut is FIMA, F-I-M-A. And maybe, and a lot of you would say, what the hell is that, right? So I'm now going to read one sentence that explains a little bit, or maybe a little bit more than one sentence, that explains very clear what the FIMA is. The Fed's FIMA program has now become the great hope to help ease any pressures in global funding markets. It allows foreign central banks to post their US Treasury holdings as collateral in exchange for dollar liquidity. Do you know what that means? Again, it allows foreign central banks, Deutsche Bank, Greece banks, whatever, it doesn't matter, to post their US Treasury holdings. So that's a great interest. So if you have US Treasury holdings, you can use them as collateral in exchange for dollar liquidity. You know what that means? De facto, that means that the Fed is becoming the central bank of the world. That's exactly saying it. So if we know that the European banks are looking bad, and these banks know that the Fed gives you fresh liquidity if you use your US Treasury holdings as collateral, what do you think would happen? Well, first of all, usually the US Treasury holdings, some will buy more, and others will receive dollar liquidity. What does that mean for the US dollar? If we have a collapse, or if we have a banking crisis in Europe, and that's going to be a big one then, because last time, it was also, it had a big impact to the US. So of course they had an interest to fix that as soon as possible. And so it was easier. But this time it's looking different, because the US could have some problems and they could print more US dollar. But as long as the European banking crisis escalate, it looks great. They can do it. They can print more US dollars. Doesn't mean, and now, wait for it, that this money is going to flow directly to crypto. Of course not. We know the situation with crypto. But the thing is that when the Fed is going to become the central bank, the global central bank, of course China will say, I don't care. I guess they will do something like that. But other countries, we know that they splitted the global geopolitical environment, and you are good and you are bad. If you are good, so means like George W. Bush once said, you can be for us or against us. And that's exactly the same rule. If you're for us, you support us, then we will support you. Otherwise, So the whole thing is indicating that the US dollar is not going to collapse. The US dollar is not going to disappear. Of course, on geopolitical level, some other countries will try to bring the dollar down. Of course, because a currency, a global currency, and the US dollar had for a long, long time a currency leadership on global stage. To maintain it means power. Now we know that many other countries are now demanding power as well. I'm not only talking about Russia, but China, mainly China. So that could be a very exciting scenario. And I mean, FEMA exists. That's nothing we need to wait for. So some economists at the moment are really nervous with the whole Deutsche Bank thing, because the Deutsche Bank is really big. It's a global player. If the Deutsche Bank fails, the German government will not have any, in my opinion, any opportunity really to bail out the Deutsche Bank. It's not going to be possible. So the only way for the Deutsche Bank, for example, just to generate some money is FEMA program? Yes. So what do you think is the Deutsche Bank then going to do in the next month? We will check that, we will track that, but mark my words, the US dollar will not disappear, it will not collapse, and gold and silver, mark my words, track their price soon. Just saying it. I'm not a gold bug, just to say that. I mean, I have different assets. Part of it, it's also gold, because it's the classic safe haven. And I guess this time it's not going to be absolutely different. So many Bitcoin Marxists are outside saying, US dollar will collapse, US dollar will collapse, Bitcoin is the next. Forget it. And not because I don't like Bitcoin, and not because I'm saying Bitcoin is trash, like some others. No, it's useful, absolutely. But one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. Stop just comparing Bitcoin with fiat. Who cares if Bitcoin is going to go up to $50,000? One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, and that means the technology is useful. And we will use this technology in the future. What is going to happen with Bitcoin, nobody knows. But those Bitcoin Marxists indicating that the whole US dollar imperium will disappear and every money will go to those assets they know. Banks will use any single way to get liquidity. So German banks, European banks will use the FEMA program by the Fed, indicating they will get US dollar. They are not going to get any euros or whatever, only US dollar. And to get this liquidity, they need US treasuries. Think about that. And that's for today everything. Almost 19 minutes. It's not that bad. By the way, if you are interested in this story, because it was I have a guy I'm following him since years. That's Martin Armstrong, and without any doubt, you can a little bit just make your own research. Martin Armstrong, U.S. citizen, and he has what is his website? ArmstrongEconomics.com. He has even there a blog, And a fantastic blog, fantastic. Just to see his views. It's really really important, and also very impressive what he knows. But in the context of a potential collapse of the Deutsche Bank and the Great Depression, and that's something that Martin Armstrong once also indicated and mentioned, something similar happened to the Bank of the United States. The Bank of the United States wasn't a really, really huge bank in the 30s. So just check this story because it's really great. However, let us take a look now to the analysis. So if we take a look here, we can see nothing happened. And the last 2 days, yesterday and the day before, 52%. The weight ratio 1 day time frame didn't change at all. It means we are maintaining and stabilizing at 50%. It's a high level, as you can see, but it's just indicating, we feel comfortable here. So it seems they are not sending more Bitcoins than just before. And if we go forward, we can see here that even the weight ratio 30 hours moving average is maintaining below 85% and between 83 and 85. That's what we can see. While, as we see as well, we received here more stable coins, and what a coincidence, at the same time the price started to push up, while at the same time you can see here the weight ratio started to decline, pushed up a little bit more, and then declined while the price is stabilizing there. Here the net flow indicating once again we had an outflow of 1,800 Bitcoins here. So usually that's the sequences. They wait and they start then just to buy and others to sell, and then they take off all these Bitcoins. That's it. Unfortunately, a very, very quick update here. So if we take a look here, for example, we can see that, for example, here we are receiving more Bitcoins. As mentioned, just we had here 2,200 Bitcoins outflow, while at the same time 1,000 Bitcoins inflow means a net flow of minus 1,200 Bitcoins, but nothing big. However, while the price is lifting up, they are once again sending more Bitcoins, but nothing huge. So that was the biggest here, almost 3,000 Bitcoins, and that was 2 days ago. If we take a look here, for example, we can see that's positive. We are receiving a little bit more stable coins than outflows, but you can also see here that looks like they are only reacting, always only reacting. If we start and enable now, here we can see so we can see here that nothing big happened. Really, absolutely nothing big happened. So let us go forward. I mean, funding rate up, down, up only, moon. That's what they are saying. Moon. Look that. I mean, that isn't that crazy? Open interest. From here. Went up, down, up, now declining a little bit. And leverage ratio. Once again, leverage ratio. Huge leverage ratio. Also pushing up like hell. That's incredible. Well, open interest. It's fine. Nobody knows, long, short, nobody cares. Leverage ratio, almost the same. But funding rate, it's indicating they are longing. But if we take a look then to the net flow on stablecoins, it doesn't look great. I don't see here any huge money coming in. So the question is, who is longing? If we take a look here, for example, that's our net flow related to Bitcoins and derivative exchanges. It doesn't look great at all as well. If we take a look, they are taking more Bitcoins. No, wait. No, it looks better. It was they are taking out almost more Bitcoins from central exchanges than receiving. Just here, for example, we received, and I have tweeted something very, very strange today. I can't remember we had such a situation. I can show you that, because that's really strange. That's really strange. That's aggregated CBD futures coin margin contracts. Look what they did since end of February. Almost 2 billion shorting with Bitcoin collateral. What the hell? Of course, a follower just said, well, it makes sense, because they are not absorbing the risk of any stablecoin DPEG. Yeah, of course, but 2 billions? Holy. Well, yes, but of course they are not using Bitcoin collateral futures to manipulate the market. They love to use it with stablecoins. And you know why, right? I can't look to your eyes, but I know you are smart enough to know who is manipulating the market and why they love to use stablecoins instead of Bitcoins. Well, however, it's, it's incredible what they are doing, but that's what they are doing. They are pushing more and more and more. And obviously, I mean, I would like to see how many bears already flip to bulls. I would really love to have such kind of statistic. I don't see anything that could indicate me something on Twitter, because it's still very separated. Many are, bull, that's the beginning of a bull run, and others saying, that will crash. However, it would be nice to see that. Leverage ratio, of course, coming back. Open interest, of course, pushing up. And funding rate, indicating they are demanding more longs. We can see that yesterday they liquidated almost the same. A little bit more shorts, but almost the same. Fifth 35 Bitcoins and longs, fifth 77 Bitcoins and shorts. So nothing big here. Blockchain whispers. Wow. 1.8 billions in shorts, 1.27 billions in longs. Okay, that's crazy. 41 to 59 and 44 to 56 on Ethereum. On Ethereum looks a little bit better, but not much better. And shorts on Bitfinex coming, but also longs. We had 2.5 billions, now 100 millions more. Yeah, I can imagine to go to make another leg up before then finally the price will go down hard. While many will say, okay, that's it, bull run, and so on and so forth. But I'm still clueless at the moment. I don't know really if they are going to trigger all the sell orders to 29 and then push down. I really don't know. But it feels like their liquidity is very limited at the moment. So we need to see. If we check here, the Kingfisher, Bitfinex, Binance, iLeverage, all leverage. We see 250 millions. So I don't know what happens. From 1 billion liquidation clusters now, positions, we have 250 millions. And once again, more on the long side than on the short side. The longest or the biggest short cluster on the short side is almost at 40k, and on the long side on 24k. High leverage, I guess, once again. Oh, it's with 25, that's big. Indicating if they want to liquidate them, we need to go down to 26.8. Otherwise, to push up to liquidate high leverage shorts hitting 29k, well, I guess these guys are manipulating the market and these guys are the victims. I guess. We will see. Because it's not the first time that we have such high leverage positions, and instead to go down, we go more up. Right? So we will see. Just before you are misunderstanding me, that's not bullish. I mean, for me, this market is absolutely not bullish. I don't care if they are going to long. I don't care if they are sending more stablecoins. For me, this market is not bullish at all. Absolutely not. But maybe you can still make some money with longs. It's maybe possible. I really don't know. And that's exactly why I'm not trading this market anymore, because I don't know. It feels like casino. You see the bearish data, but at the same time you see how they are pushing up with low volume, and even with high volume, where I was saying it was wash trading, it doesn't make sense. It really just doesn't make sense. It's really hard. I mean, even if you know the price will go down, you don't know when, and that's also a problem, because if you want to make a swing trade, for example, swing means up and down, and that's where I think probably you can make good money with short-term swings. That's what I was doing before I stopped to trade, but I really don't know. It's not going to be very easy. So let us go forward. So if we take a look to the CBDs, we can see that on Binance, the Tether, BTC Tether CBD is indicating plus 54 millions. The aggregated only plus 45 millions, indicating that some other exchanges had a bigger sell pressure than on Binance. BUSD, almost none. So really almost nothing happening. But instead, and that's really interesting, USD pushed up much more than Tether and BUSD. That's really interesting, because we know Kraken, Gemini, Bitfinex, and Coinbase are here the leaders of USD pairs, while I know that Bitfinex is not looking very bullish at the moment. Also here, extremely strange, and that's what I have also mentioned today in my tweet. Bitcoin collateral futures just pushed up by 100 millions, while stablecoin by 920 millions. Usually both works hand in hand. That was the context and correlation in the past. Not anymore. The moves looks a little bit similar, but if we start to check that here, you can see that these guys look that from here, that was end of February to today, they reduced their the balances. That's stupid. The CBD declined by almost 2 billions. And that's crazy. Why? If we check, for example, here, absolutely not the same, or almost the same. Also almost 2 billions, but it's not the same. No, it's 1.5 billion. It's really strange. So it would make sense, like this follower just said, that they are cashing out via short selling. They can short, price goes down, they make more Bitcoins, can sell directly on Bitfinex, Coinbase, Kraken, whatever, cash out directly in fiat, and fuck off. Would be interesting. We will see. If we take a look here, that's BUSD. Not that big anymore, like the aggregated. Now Bitfinex, as mentioned, absolutely. I mean, they missed the opportunity to push up. Now the question is, who pushed up? We know who pushed up. Someone on Coinbase has a big interest to maintain a very bullish sentiment, it seems. And some other exchanges are taking this opportunity and saying thank you. Bybit pushing up. Oh, Coinbase. Look, Coinbase. Wow. What is happening there? Who is buying Coinbase? That's the big question. Is Michael Saylor buying the top again? We will see. Bitstamp pushing up. Oh, what the hell is that? Someone used market sell, I guess. That's really strange to see 700 Bitcoins in volume in 30 minutes on Kraken. Someone really... Oh, that's painful. That's painful. However, also here, Kraken pushing up. Of course, Gemini pushing up. And that's it. If we take a look here, it's also very interesting. First of all, we can see here all the big transactions, what is happening here, right? But the most important part is stable coin flows. And usually we received a lot of stable coins just before we started to push up. And we received 275 millions, but at the same time, they withdrew 416 millions. So someone is cashing out, and someone else with less liquidity using the opportunity to push up a little bit more the price. That's what's happening. While supply on exchanges is declining more and more and more, meaning they are taking out or just taking profit. So we received today, for example, here that was big, 155 millions. Then here 275 millions. But if we start to take a look here, we can see, well, that was yesterday, 28th. Okay, let us take a look to, well, it doesn't matter. For example, yesterday they started here to take out from centralized exchanges 280 millions. Then here another 416 millions. And then today, that was 2 p.m., they almost 288 millions. Nothing big coming in. Sometimes a little bit of Tether, 21 millions here. Of course here as well. Nothing big, 20 millions. Another here, 20 millions. It's not huge. Here it was just a swap, it seems. 70 millions in, 70 millions out. Or 50 millions out, 55 millions in. Or 72 in, 74 out. It looks like someone is converting. On USDC it looks different. In little sequences you can see how they are pushing up, sending more bitcoins, but nothing big. It seems more algo stuff. But at the same time 43 millions outflow. That was the biggest. Looking like cashing out, even on BUSD. Nothing more happened. So if we take a look now to the entities, we can see that retail, of course, declining, pushing up, we need to see, declining, well, and they are sometimes making some moves. We remember it was Bitfinex with 30,000 bitcoins. If we take a look here, declining. So if we check now the wallets count, of course pushing up. Okay, declined a lot. Interesting. Now pushing up. So retail pushing up. This guy is pushing up. This guy's declining. And market maker, interesting. Let me see. They declined by almost 53 wallets, and the market maker received 2 wallets. No, they removed 2 wallets. 6 wallets. They received 6 wallets. So that's not really big, I guess. They are coming from here then. At least 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them and 4 from here, I guess. So that explains why their balances went up by 30,000 bitcoins. That's really a lot. That's really a lot. So they declined, that makes sense. And this declines. But those 4 wallets have to come from these guys here. Otherwise, some of them bought more. And that's it, at least from here. Yeah, nothing. You can see the what is happening in general. You can see what USDC supply on centralized exchanges is nuking at the moment. Tether as well, and in general stablecoins since mid of January declining while the price is lifting up. That's the most interesting part, in my opinion. But yeah, you can use leverage. That's the nice thing. So while you are using leverage, everything is fine. Now let me just show here once again what they are doing. Okay, so fund flows. Let me refresh the site. And we can see here 200 bitcoins. We can see here 400 bitcoins. So once again, you know, where the price is pushing up, 700 bitcoins, using the opportunity to sell. Yeah. Here nothing big, only XXIX pushing up in weights ratio and Binance. That's both very interesting. Gemini also pushing up a little bit, and that's it. Funds, nothing since yesterday. And well, that's incredible here. So futures, it's absolutely obvious what's happening here. Futures coming in hard, really hard. So spot declined a lot, and now futures volume taking over. Yeah, that's it. So we can see also, for example, right now here, they are still waiting here at 29K. And we see that they are reinforcing here 25K, this wall. A lot of liquidity gone here at 14 and so on and so forth. That's on Coinbase. And you can see that Coinbase sell orders are now up to 50,000. The last big one is at 39. On Bitstamp also waiting 26, between 25 and 26, but also here 30K and even 31K, as you can see. On Binance, looks actually similar, also 30K, for example. Now also bringing some sell orders at 33K, for example, but at the moment waiting here to trigger all of them. You can see how much they triggered today, and right now at 29K. They are also here where we have the trend line. They are now bringing some liquidity at 27k, and you know, also between 26.5 and 27, otherwise everything at 25k. Also interesting what they are doing here, 23k, and also here 21k. They are preparing to absorb, it seems. BTC BUSD to the upside, not a lot. To the downside, we have liquidity here, 26, and so on and so forth, but nothing big. Bitfinex, on Bitfinex, nothing. The next bigger liquidity waiting at 22.8. Even sell orders only to 30k. That's it. OKEX spot, nothing. Kraken, on Kraken they are waiting also between 25 and 25.5, and now they started to send more bitcoins, sell orders to 32. Yeah, the maximum is 32.3, but waiting mainly here, for example 30 or 31. BitMEX, nothing. I really love BitMEX. Now derivatives. So we have Bybit here, nothing to see. BTC USD, BTC USDT, also nothing. Now BTC USDT on Binance. Usually when you see that, means at least not today. They need, maybe it's spoofing, then they will remove everything and then we can push up, but at the moment we are also holding the price, so it's not the time yet. It seems they are removing a lot of liquidity at 25k right now. BTC BUSD on Binance, nothing. Bitfinex derivatives, nothing. Kraken futures, nothing. OKEX futures, only here 29.3 and 27, but that's it. And Deribit up to 30k and below 25.6. A lot of, well, short orders here and long orders here. And of course, I mean, until 40k, a little bit more higher, a lot of short orders there. And that's it from here.